Come with me to a magical place where being labeled the Pork Queen is a compliment, where being nice is just a way of life, and where all leaders of the free world must pass through. Welcome to Iowa. Whether you're a current Iowan, an Iowa expat, or an Iowan at heart, this show is for you. This is the Iowa Podcast. Real Iowans, real talk, no drama. From the Jethro's Barbecue Studios, I'm Justin Brady. Welcome to the show. It's baseball season. Now, you don't know this, but I was just at spring training for the enemy, Cardinals. It was Cardinals. But we have Sam Bernabe in here, the president and general manager of the Iowa Cubs, to talk about the baseball season.
Well, we don't consider you an enemy if you're a baseball fan, Justin.
Yes.
That's how that works. We don't really care who you root for as long as you root for somebody.
I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me off the hook. So I'll start out broadly. Thanks for coming in the studio.
Sure.
And what should Iowans expect this year? What's new? What should the fans expect?
More of the same. It's I wouldn't say things run on autopilot. We're always trying to freshen things up as best we can. But we've figured out over the years, the long run, that what our fans like, and we work off of that as best we can. We'll try some new things here and there, but the staples are all there, and we try to maximize our efforts in customer service, cleanliness. The whole mantra of the business is safe, clean, and fun. It has been from the first day I stepped into the operation back in 1983, and that's what we work off of. If the place isn't the safest place or the cleanest place to come to, then we don't have to worry about it being fun because they're not coming anyway. So we really work hard off of that, and then everything is customer service from there, and then you trick it up with some promotions and some on-field activity and shoot some fireworks and give away some T-shirts and shoot some hot dogs and, all the things that minor league sports are, you expect in minor league sports. We don't do it any differently.
Yeah. I mean, is there kind of an element of pushback when you change too much too fast in baseball? Because baseball is very much driven by tradition. Like people lost their minds when the pitchers got their time clock added. People tend to not want things to change too much. It's like, there are some things we want to change. We want to innovate in our technology. We want better phones. We want all that stuff. That's fine. But there are some things that we kind of want the routine. We want the familiar. We want to kick back, have a beer and a brat, and watch the game. Is that always a balance to make sure that tradition is preserved, but you're also kind of mixing it up? Is that always a balance?
I think where things go off the rails is when you do things like take the hot dogs out of the ballpark.
Wait, hold on. Did you
I'm
try
just
that?
saying that would be more the norm of what you're talking about. You can always come to the ballpark and get a hot dog, get a beer, get a Coke, get a big nacho with lots of cheese and taco meat on it. That will always be there. There'll always be 90-foot bases. There'll always be green grass and lots of things to see. A few things to do. All of those things will happen. It's the change in those things that we do at times that we have to do. We have to keep up with the times, I guess, not necessarily the keep up with the Joneses, but keep up with the times. And certainly the changes that baseball has made over the last 4 or 5 years were merited because it's proven that people have responded to it at a much higher pace and a much greater level than we even anticipated it being. So, the pitch clock and the activities that go around speeding the game up, as well as picking up the pace of the game, not even so much shorter games, but the pace of the game has improved attendance a lot.
Really?
Viewership is up.
Wow.
Attendance is up. Everything is up across the board. The game is expanding, as you saw the Cubs play in Tokyo against the Dodgers. There were 27 million Japanese people watch those games each day.
Wow.
Contrary to that, there were less than 1 million that were able to watch the games in the States, but they also started at 5:10 in the morning, on the West Coast, and so it made it tough. 5:10 in the morning Central Time, which made it 3 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. It just wasn't conducive for fans locally to watch those games conveniently. But the game is at an all-time high in its interest right now, and will continue to grow because of some of the changes that the commissioners decided to try to do, and there'll be more coming down the pike, I think.
Like what?
they're trying a variety of things, but a lot of it is extreme and then dialed back. For instance, the mound height, the distance to the mound from home plate, the defensive shift has had some merit to it, but also has some disadvantages to it. I mean, they're looking at all kinds of things. There isn't anything on the chalkboard right now that is probably going to hold, but they're always trying. They're always looking at a variety of things. Hence, the pitch clock has been terrific, and the time gets shorter and shorter between pitches because they have found they don't need that much time between pitches. So it's that's one example of things that have been better.
So this is interesting. You mentioned that changing the pace of the game you mentioned changing the pace of the game has actually improved attendance across the board. Is it just the pitch clock, or were there other changes that changed the pace of the game that led to the increase of attendance?
The pitch clock is related to time of the game.
Absolutely.
I mean, we went from a 3 hour and 7 minute average per game down to 227, I think is where it's at right now.
Wow.
227, 237 maybe. But anyway, it's inside of 240, which was the magic number from the fan standpoint where they wanted to be. But if there's anything else that goes with that, pace doesn't necessarily mean shorter game, but it's a better pace. You don't have guys standing around adjusting their gloves, standing at home plate, standing behind the mound. It just kind of slows everything. It may not be taking a lot of time to do those things, but it slows everything. And so I noticed when that rule changed for us, and we were the experimental lab rats on it way back in the day, we noticed the pace of the game changed, and as well as the time of game. But the pace is really what we looked at, what I looked at, and I thought it was important.
Savannah Bananas aren't here this year. And now, obviously, they didn't play the Cubs. They do their own banana ball. They have their own weird thing.
Yeah, they're like the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah,
they have their own
go.
teams. They have their own play.
That's a good way to describe that, actually.
It's not any baseball that any of our guys would compete against. We have several of our guys that have played on the Savannah Bananas.
What? Really?
Oh, yeah. They get a lot of that's where they get their players, is from ex-minor leaguers or ex-professional players. Yeah, some college players, but mostly ex-professional players.
Because it's a wild...
They're good players.
Yeah,
I mean, these guys can play baseball. They have to be able to do what they're doing and be creative on top of it.
Now, it's not regulation, right? Because it's like you said, Globetrotters. It's exhibition, not regulation.
Right.
It's kind of wacky
stuff. It's an event. It's not. You can't classify it as a baseball game. It's an event.
Yeah, but has it changed? Do you think how baseball is done? Like the way they do it, has it injected new ideas into baseball, or is it still very much its own thing?
It's its own thing. I don't see that. I don't see us playing inning by inning. I don't. Trying to win the inning is not the idea of a baseball game, and that's what the Bananas do, which is fine. And I think at some point down the road, you may see them having even more teams and maybe being competitive within their own fun little activity, and maybe even a champion banana team. I don't know, but those are the things that could come down the road, I would guess.
So baseball, like there's an inside baseball joke here somewhere. There's like I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. But do baseball, I don't know if they're the right word is baseball snobs or baseball traditionalists or people who've been in the game for decades, do they kind of look at a side eye at the Savannah Banana stuff as exhibition? Do they welcome the activity? Are they kind of like, who are these clowns? What's the general attitude?
I don't think anybody looks at it critically at all. It's an event. It doesn't. It's not baseball in what you would expect a game of, what you would come to Principal Park and see on a nightly basis. It's nowhere near that. It's an event. It's loud music. It's action. It's dancing. It's crazy acrobatics, it's juggling, it's all things that are created to an event, which is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that, Jesse Cole came up with that, and he continues to refine it, and he continues to have a great product and pushing it out for everybody to have fun with. People come. I would say 7 out of 10 of everybody that I know that's been to my park to see him said they'll come back and see him again. 2 out of 10 say, yeah, it was great. I probably won't come back again.
Gotta
I saw
see it
I'm
once,
done.
and now I'm good.
And
yeah.
then 1 out of 10 says it wasn't my cup of tea.
Right.
So but that's going to be the case with anything. You'd say that with the Ice Capades, and you'd say it with the Globetrotters, and you'd say it with the Iowa Cubs. I mean, that's the way things work.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we see more stuff, not like the bananas, but do we see at the park itself, do we see different events coming and us using the field or using the park for different kind of events?
Well, I hope so. I guess, we're always looking for something.
Yeah.
We'd like to try to do some type of winter event if we could.
Really? Okay.
It's tough for us because we're an operation that's north of the Mason-Dixon line, which means we have to shut our building down so
True.
the pipes don't freeze and we don't break water lines and all that fun stuff. But and it's also tough for us to do things on the field that require field replacement at the end of the day because we don't have that window to do field replacement in the early spring.
Oh, that's a good point.
So we're pretty limited on what we can do. There might be some things that we could do that are perimeter of the field, but we're still kind of digging in on some of that stuff.
Sure, like if you're doing rodeos or something, it's just absolutely tearing up the field.
Yeah, I have to be able to have time to put my field back in. And when we play all the way to the end of September, that leaves a window of about 6-7 weeks in the fall to do whatever event I'm doing and then get my field either replaced or repaired to get ready for the winter because I don't have a lot of time to recover in the springtime. So, I'm opening on March 28th, and that's pretty early in the calendar for, the water's only been on in my stadium to get ready to go for about 10 days.
Yeah.
So, there's just not much we can do in that window, that long winter window that allows us to do much other than what we've been doing. That doesn't mean we're not looking. We may try to do some things in the parking lots. We may try to do some things on the perimeter. We're talking to a variety of people, but it's our ownership group would like us. They think the building should run 365 days out of the year.
Oof,
well,
wow.
that doesn't obviously work for a lot of our days, but there's a lot of days in between homestands. There's a lot of days, right after the season's over where we can try to maybe do some things.
Maybe you can figure out a way to pitch snowballs and try to hit those. Maybe you can figure that out.
Yeah. I'm sure we could pitch something. I'm not sure snowballs, but I'm sure we could pitch something that would be interesting for somebody.
So last year, someone who will go unnamed said last year, because I said I'm going to be interviewing Sam, he's going to be on the show, and they're like, last year we had a lot of talent, like a lot of really, really high-end talent, really, really good team at the Iowa Cubs. This year, it looks like it's going to be a little crazier because you have an unusually high number of top prospects. I think you have 7, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, because this is, as people know, I'm not like the sports nerd, right. But 7 of the top, the MLB's Pipeline top 100 are going to be on the Iowa Cubs, so you can see all 7 of them. Just a few names: Matt Shaw, James Triantos, Cade Horton. I don't know how to pronounce this one. Moses.
Ballesteros.
Yeah, yep. Owen Cassie and Kevin Alcantara.
You had all of them right except Matty Shaw. Matty made the big club. He'll be the starting. He's the starting third baseman for the Chicago Cubs, who was our number 1 prospect and the number 6 prospect in the 100 pipeline. In any event, we got a really good, really talented ball club. We had a really talented ball club last year. This year they're a year older and a year better. You're stronger. You're faster. You're more knowledgeable. The game is slower for them this year than it was last year. That's the whole idea, is to get the young kids to get the game to slow down. That's what makes them better players. A guy like Pete Crow Armstrong, who is now our starting center fielder in Chicago, he got there and he figured out how to get the game to slow down. And he consequently, his year got better and better as the season went on last year. He's going to be a really good player. But that's the big challenge for young players, is to figure out how to get the game to slow down for them so that they see it easier. It comes to them quicker. It's a more knowledgeable time for them. You get out there and you're just not ready to go as a young guy, and you go helter-skelter. Your mind's going in 7 different directions. You're worried about, the pitch count, and you're worried about where they're throwing you and your defense and where to position. And all of that has to happen all simultaneously in the blink of an eye.
Sure, yeah.
So it's from that perspective that if the game slows and you're able to process all of that equally as it comes to you, then you're a better player. That's how you become a star.
Interesting. So it's almost like overcoming the panic of all the new stuff, and they just have to. Someone was telling me the other day, like Navy SEALs work on that. Like they work on changing their breaths and doing less or fewer breaths per minute or something like that? Like that's one of the things they work on is calming themselves down, not like pumping themselves up and getting more excited. It sounds like the same principle.
Well, I think it's similar.
Here.
I think it's similar, although the information that's processed in the game of baseball comes at you, 1,000 pieces a second, and the player that can take all of that at one time and put 1 second in front of the next second in front of the next second, and then be able to anticipate those future 10 seconds down the road and bring all that together. That's the player that you want. Those are the guys playing at the big league level because they're able to process that.
Yeah. You mentioned all the information that's flying at them at any given second. Officials have to deal with that as well, right? They're dealing with a lot of data.
Yeah, everybody on the field has to process at the same time.
It's millisecond decisions they're making. And we've seen like computer vision and AI work its way into the sport now for years, just in a unofficial capacity, for an entertainment capacity, like the hitbox and all that stuff.
Right.
Do we see AI start to make its way into officiating, or are we going to see a lot of resistance there? Because on one hand, you might argue, well, it's going to improve accuracy of the game and accuracy of the calls. But on the other hand, people don't like the idea of robots taking an official's job, and it kind of takes, truthfully, a little bit of the suspense out of the game. So what's the thinking in professional baseball on AI making its way into officiating?
I don't think in our lifetime you'll ever see anything other than a human being at first, second, third base and behind home plate calling the game. Now, we're already into robotics for the strike zone, which we should be because we can be. We're capable of monitoring and measuring a strike zone and whether it's a ball or a strike. Right now, the players are in favor of having a challenge system so that the umpire is calling the game, but if there is a challenge between the pitcher, the hitter, and the catcher, they have a chance to say, no, I think that was a ball, it wasn't a strike. There's a challenge system now, and you have the ability to find out. Comes up on the big board, and it says, the computer says, no, that was a strike. You lose your challenge, or no, you're correct. That was a ball and missed the strike zone by, in some cases, less than a half inch. I mean, it has that ability to measure it that closely. So we have the ability to do that. Why not do it? And on the other hand, you take the balls and strikes element out of the game behind home plate. There are 400 other things that the home plate umpire has to do that there is no robotic that can do it.
Interesting.
So there's always a call for a human being as an official to call the game, whether it's down on the field or up in the press box.
Yeah, so using AI and all this advanced data analytics stuff as a secondary thing, as a support, but making sure, at least in the near future, that the human stays in full control of the pace of the game and the officiating.
I don't see AI having a big role in the play of the game. I think it'll have a huge role in how we market the game. I think you'll see a lot of those kinds of things moving forward. My marketing team gets all excited about the possibilities of how they'll market the Iowa Cubs to the local Central Iowa folks, and then nationally, and in some cases internationally. We have, being a Cub affiliate, we have lots of interest in Cubs baseball in Des Moines, Iowa, literally all over the world.
What are some areas they're exploring?
Oh, I think it's just the general market. We're not any different than anybody trying to market their shoes or market their, the road signs that they put out. And anybody that's a manufacturer of anything is always looking at new marketing techniques. We're the same way. We'll take all those new fun tricks and toys and really help the baseball fan understand what it is we're doing to the point where it's appealing for them to come to the ballpark.
Maybe robots, handing. Maybe robots do the T-shirt gun. That would be cool. Tell them to get on that.
I got a guy that has shot the T-shirt gun. There's been one person in the entire history of the T-shirt gun shoot the gun on one night. Other than it's been Jeff Tilley shoot every single night.
No,
he's never missed a night of shooting.
Jeff Tilley.
Yep.
And he's never missed a night shooting the T-shirt gun.
And I think we're in the neighborhood of probably 750,000 T-shirts shot since we started shooting the T-shirt gun. So he's the only guy that's ever done it. If I put a robot in there, he wouldn't quit. He would just probably go walk right into the river, and I'd never see him again. So,
or he'll just tear the robot's head off.
Well, I think he'd probably be more apt to just walk right into the river and just say, "That's enough. I've done my thing. You're
see
out."
You, everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's. Yeah, how many years then? Did you say that? He
started with me in 1998, and I bought that T-shirt cannon about winter meetings of 2000, maybe 2001. And we shoot 2 rounds. He makes 2 trips around the diamond each night, and he shoots anywhere from 16 to 30 T-shirts every round, as many as he can get out all over the ballpark. He's done it every night since we've done it, since we've had it. He's missed one night, and that's because we had a skunk get into the bleacher area, and he had to go out and help take the skunk out of the stadium. Other than that, he's done it every night.
Jeff Tilley, a true American hero with the Iowa Cubs.
He's a Central Iowa hero. There's a lot of people look for Jeff Tilley every night waiting to shoot T-shirts out of that cannon.
Is that the only thing? Does he have a contract that's more expensive than some of the Cub players just because of the T-shirt exclusivity?
No, it's not in the platform of Cub players, but he's been with me a long time. He's my director of stadium operations. He's been doing it for me for 25 years. So.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Is there a training regimen for the T-shirt gun?
Well, we don't know because we've only had one person shoot
yeah,
it,
that's true.
I don't know whether we train anybody or not.
He needs to write the curriculum when you still have him.
He wouldn't let anybody near it. So
how about Cubby Bear? Do you have to go through rigid training for Cubby Bear?
No, Cubby isn't. Cubby is just a figurehead. It's not an animated character. It doesn't dance. It doesn't do acrobats. It's not the famous chicken. He's not doing an act. He's huggable. He's high-fiveable. You get your picture taken with him. He signs autographs. He throws. He helps throw out the first pitch with all our guest first pitch people. I mean, he's a figurehead. It's not. He's busy all the time, but he's not difficultly busy, I guess.
It's more of a customer service training than it is a rigid, do 20 push-ups in the suit and do backflips.
Yeah, no, we don't.
It's
It's not a mascot. It's not a rah-rah mascot. Although he'll stand up on the dugout and get the crowd wound up, but he's not doing backflips down the length of the foul line. So.
Now, is it similar to the University of Iowa, where the identity is a kept secret, and it's like this secret society? Or are there multiple people that play Cubby Bear?
We have a variety of people that act in Cubby Bear's role. We don't have a main person doing it.
And is it a rigidly protected secret?
Relative to who?
Yeah.
No, I mean it depends on who's working that night, I suppose. So it depends on which intern gets to be in the outfit for the evening.
So it could be at any given time 5 different people in a season.
More like. I'd say 25 different people, probably, maybe 30. Yeah.
Wow, that's actually quite a few.
Yeah.
St. Paul Saints, but you also have, I think you're doing a doubleheader with the St. Paul Saints or a 2-day. There's something unique this year, isn't there?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, I guess.
I might be off on that, but there are 3 new competitors you have this year, I think. Right? The Worcester Woo Sox, Sugar Land Space Cowboys, and Las Vegas Aviators.
Yeah, Worcester
right?
is with the Red Sox. They're the AAA team for the Red Sox. They're coming to town for the first time. Sugar Land is the Astros AAA affiliate. Sugar Land is a northern suburb of the city of Houston. And what was the other one?
Looks like what I have written down, this may be wrong, but the Las Vegas Aviators.
Oh, the Aviators. We go to Las Vegas. They don't come into town. We go to Las Vegas. So... but Worcester and Sugar Land are coming to Des Moines. That would be the first time we've had those guys in. Yeah. They're in our league. We just, in your 20-team league, you just don't get to play everybody all the time. So this is kind of a new thing for us. But we're excited about the Red Sox affiliate coming in. There's always a big interest in the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Cardinals. Those teams all have great followings. So we'll see how many Red Sox fans there are in Central Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. This weekend, obviously, baseball season starts here in Iowa at the Iowa Cubs.
Yep.
Last question before I let you go. So everybody go to the Cubs. But what's the status on the Cubby Village concept we talked about? I think it was 2 years ago now, back in 2023. Was the last time you were in the show. Are we having any development on that?
No, not really. I mean, you asked me about that, and that was more of it would be a fun concept to delve into
definitely.
A little bit. No, there's nothing going on that's directly tied to that thought. A couple of the cities that the team, the Diamond Baseball Holdings, our parent company, they've looked at a couple of cities for development, and they just currently started a big new development in Louisville with a kind of a campus around the Louisville downtown ballpark in Louisville. Hopefully, we would be on the docket for something like that down the road, but there isn't anything on the drawing board right now.
So right now, it's more support your Cubbies, get out there, buy lots of tickets, show lots of activity so that maybe our city rises up in the ranks and we get some more attention.
Well, the good news is that we're always being considered for a variety of things because of the quality of our operation. We have really good. My staff is really good at what they do. They give a great presentation for what it is we put out. We have great respect for the kind of business that we do and the longevity we've been doing it with. The continuity and the consistency of the operation allows for us to be at the top of the line in a lot of cases for things that come along. Sometimes they work out timing-wise, sometimes they don't. But we're always being considered for a variety of things.
Fascinating. Sam Bernabe, the president and GM of the Iowa Cubs. What's the website so people can go buy tickets?
IowaCubs.com.
IowaCubs.com. Easy enough. Sam, thank you so much for coming back on the Iowa Podcast. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And to my fellow Iowans, Iowa expats, and Iowans at heart, thanks for listening and subscribing to the Iowa Podcast.